Well, back for another review. This is going to be a TV review. So, a lot of people probably thought I was going to do Sleepaway Camp 2. Well, I do plan on doing Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3 movie reviews, but I'm going to do something special here. This video will be uploaded on Tuesday, which is tomorrow. This is Amazing Stories. Now, this is season 1. I'm not sure if you really can tell the red cover there because of the lighting I have here. This is the only season available on DVD. I would love for them one day to release season 2. I don't know if it's ever going to happen. But in the... Let me get the camera closer here. So basically, this has got 4 discs. And it has like... How many episodes are on here? 24 episodes of season 1. Now, the one special thing on here, it's got some deleted scenes from the original telecast. And this show came out in 1985 and ran to 87. So this is the 85-86 season. One of my favorite shows as a kid watching it. Now, the first disc has an episode called Ghost Train, which happened to be directed by Steven Spielberg. The second episode was The Main Attraction. The third one was Alamo Job. Then we followed by Mummy Daddy, The Mission, and Amazing Fallsworth. Ghost Town was a pretty good one. It's where an older gentleman goes to live with his family, and there's like a train that used to go through there where they lived at, and he still has a ticket to go back to it. That has a young Lucas Haas, you may remember from Lady in White. And the late Robert Blossom plays the old man. That was a great episode. The next episode is The Main Attraction, where a high school guy, he's like kind of a jerk to people at school and that, and he ends up, a meteorite ends up hitting close to his home, and somehow he gets affected by it, and everything metal sticks to him. Like somebody would have braces and goalie masks and what else? Fire extinguisher. And then he comes to realize the one girl that is a real geek in the movie, she ends up getting meteorited too, and they both end up kissing at the end. It was, you know. The next one we have is Alamo Job. That was basically about a young guy who was in the Battle of the Alamo, and he gets stuck in the wrong time. He gets like put in the San Antonio in the 80s, and he's trying to find General Custer, I think his name was. Yeah, and yeah, that's not a bad episode. Then you have Mummy Daddy, which was one of my favorites of this season, and it's where they're making a movie about a mummy, and the actor who's playing a mummy in the movie gets a call and that his wife is in labor, so he doesn't have time to take a costume off, so he ends up running around through town trying to get to the hospital where his wife's at. And then he runs into this old man who has like Ra Amen Ka, which was supposedly a real mummy, and he's got the townspeople running after him, and then he's got the real mommy coming after him, and then he finally reaches the hospital, and then you come to realize that the real mummy ends up falling onto the set where they're making the film, and they're not really sure. They don't realize that it's really the mummy. So that was a great one. The next one is called The Mission. That has actors Kiefer Sutherland and Kevin Costner and Casey Siemaszko. Yeah, I guess pretty good acting in that. Now, that's basically about. This was one of the first hour episodes. This is about a World War II mission where a young bomber is in a damaged landing gear, and somehow he imagines them the gear, how they can lands for his safety, and it comes up like a cartoonish like wheel, which isn't a bad episode. The Amazing Fallsworth stars the late Gregory Hines, about a nightclub mind reader who taps into visions of a murderer. That was a great episode. Now, disc 2, the episode we have is Fine Tuning. That was about where this kid has like he somehow he gets transmissions from another alien, and the aliens actually portray a lot of characters from the 50s TV show like I Love Lucy and stuff like that. So, and then the following episode is Mr. Magic. Mr. Magic has the late Sid Caesar, who he has one more trip up his sleeve, and before he retires, and he ends up getting a hold of these magical deck of cards, and they end up helping him on his last illusion trick or whatever. Then you have the Guilt Trip, which stars the late Dom DeLuise, and is directed by Burt Reynolds, who this also stars Lonnie Anderson. It's basically about a guy named Guilt who decides to take a vacation cruise and falls in love for love. And you know, it's okay. I mean, it's not the best of the episode, but it's not really the worst. And then you have the Remote Control Man, which was another one that was a great one. Has a lot of guest cameos from a lot of actors in it. You got Gary Coleman, Dirk Benedict, Barbara Bingsley, Richard Simmons, Ed McMahon. You've got Lyle Azedo. You got Jake Steinfeld in the place of Lou Ferrigno. Knight Rider, the car, ends up showing up in the episode. It's basically about a guy who discovers a remote that brings TV characters to life. Now, this also stars young Jeff Cohen, you may remember from the Goonies as Chunk. That was a great episode. The next one is Santa 85. It's where Christmas cheer is in short supply when Santa is arrested delivering presents, and it has where a little boy tries to bust him out. Yeah, that's a great episode, Christmas episode for what it was. Vanessa in the Garden was directed by Clint Eastwood. It has Harvey Keitel and Beau Bridges. It's about a painter devastated by the loss of his wife, discovers a unique way to bring her to live through his art. Yeah, it's not too bad of an episode. I mean, considering what they had to deal with back in the 80s, it's fairly good. And now, disc 3, there was an episode on the first disc, or the third disc, first episode on there, The Sitter. It's about two mischievous kids who manage to scare away every babysitter in town, only to meet their match, and the late Mabel King, who uses voodoo to get the upper hand. Now, Joshua Rhodey, you may remember him from Flatliners and Harry and the Hendersons, is one of the kids, and the other kid is Seth Green, well known for his Robot Chicken and for Airborne and Buffy the Vampire Slayer and tons of other films and shows. Great episode. It does have the actress Susanna Snyder from Return of the Living Dead 2 and Killer Clowns from Outer Space as one of the babysitters. I like that episode. That's a really good episode. Then you have No Day at the Beach. Now this one has Charlie Sheen has a guest star in this. This is another World War II one, where simple-minded and TGI Harold Scamp, played by Larry Spinack, unexpectedly finds a chance to prove himself a hero. Now, great episode, great concept. I mean, it's got its emotional moments in it. The next one is called Run for the Road. That is about a Depression-era barflies strike it rich by tricking the local drunk who played Santa Claus in Santa 85, the late Douglas Seal, into signing an insurance policy, hoping he's just a few glasses away from death. Now that's a great episode. It's got some great comedy in it. Joe Pantoliano, you may remember him from Final Terror and the Goonies and La Bamba and Bad Boys, where they keep trying to get this guy to die and he just never dies. Then you have Gather Ye Acorns, about a troll who tells the young dreamer to never throw away anything, but after 50 years of living the life of a pack rat, his junkyard, the man wonders if he really has anything to show for his life. Now, this is a great episode. It has the late David Rappaport, and it has Mark Hamill, and you also have a small appearance by Forrest Whitaker. I like this episode because it's Mark Hamill from Star Wars is in it, and it definitely shows a lot of comic books and stuff that he's collected over throughout the years. His father in the episode, the late Royal Dano, is in it. Then you have an episode called Boo, and it's about two ghosts trying to get rid of the porno star and her husband who moved into their house. The two ghosts is played by Eddie Bracken and Evelyn Keyes. And you also, it's not a bad episode. I mean, it's funny. It's got some funny moments in it. Now, the next episode is Dorothy and Ben. Dorothy and Ben is about revived after 40 years in a coma. Ben discovers he can communicate telepathically with another comatose patient, a young girl on the brink of death. Very sad episode. Joe Seneca, the late Joe Seneca, plays Ben, and it definitely pulls at the heartstrings on this one. Now the final disc is Mirror Mirror. It's about after a horror novelist is haunted by a mysterious hooded figure in his mirror, based from his monstrous creations. It starred Sam Waterston and Tim Robbins, and directed by Martin Scorsese. It's definitely an interesting episode. I mean, back in 1986 when this episode aired, it was kind of controversial with the way things were going on at the time, but it was a great episode. Then you have Secret Cinema, which another TV show in the 80s called Friday the 13th series also used this title for an episode. This is a young woman named Jane becomes convinced that the people closer to her, including her mother, played by Eve Arden, are involved in a conspiracy to film her life using secret cameras. It was okay of an episode. And then you have Hell to Pay, which is spelled Toupee, like if you have a toupee on your head. About after buying a new toupee, an otherwise mild-mannered attorney is inexplainable compelled to murder other lawyers. It's a funny episode. Not the best episode of the season. And then you have The Doll, this was an Emmy-winning performance by John Lithgow, who portrays a lonely bachelor who finds that his handmade doll he bought for his niece, played by Rain Phoenix, is no ordinary toy. That's not a bad episode. Definitely got some sad moments in it. And then you have One for the Books. An old janitor finds that he can pick up more than garbage when he realizes he can gain knowledge from the books around him. Now, the opening credits of Amazing Stories, you see a lot of like books flying. You see like sword play, a spaceship going off, and you actually one of the books flying is kind of like shows in this episode. Now, the final episode for season 1 was a episode Grandpa's Ghost. It started with a grandpa and ended with a grandpa. A devoted young man, played by Andrew McCarthy, tries to help his grandmother come to terms with her husband's death, even though Grandpa keeps appearing when his grandson's not around. So yeah, it's got some great moments and sad moments as well. Now there's like I think 20 minutes of deleted scenes on this. This release came out in 2006. Here it is 2016, 10 years later, and still no season 2. So Universal, release season 2. You've got some great episodes in there. You got an animated episode called Family Dog. You've got an episode with a lady growing pumpkins. You got an episode where a guy has like this liquid and he puts it on it to get a dream date, and then he ends up getting like skeletons. You got an episode starring Drew Barrymore, an episode starring Robin Lively. You've got an episode with John Carradine. I mean, come on, Universal, just release this season. I mean, even if you just put it on, you know, a DVD-R or something like that. You know, I would like to see the second season. I mean, though it was on Netflix for a while, and that's fine and dandy, but I like to physically own season 2. Well, as far as the rating of the TV series, I would probably give this, out of 5 stars, I would give this a 3.5. I mean, because there was a lot of great episodes in this, and a lot of episodes were slow moving, had great performances, but just not the best episodes. Well, that was my review on Amazing Stories TV show. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you on the next one. Now I am going to do one more video today. Like this video I'm doing on Monday will be shown tomorrow. The question and answer video I did will be on Wednesday, and the video I did prior to this will be loaded up later today. But I'm doing one more video which will be loaded on Thursday, and I will catch you on the next one.